Once upon a time, in the heart of ancient Oweri, there lived two people with clever minds and hidden secrets. Chief Anya was a respected elder, a man who had risen to power through wit, cunning, and a bit of mystery. He was a widower, having lost his beloved wife years ago, and was left with his beautiful daughter, Ada. Chief Anya was well known in the village, but what most people didn't know was that he practiced a kind of magic, a dark power that he kept hidden from everyone, even his own daughter. Now, if you're already hooked, don't forget to like and subscribe. And tell me, have you ever suspected someone of hiding secrets? Comment below if this story resonates with you in any way. Then there was Lady Nkechi, a wealthy widow with an elegance that drew attention whenever she walked through the village. Unlike Anya, Nkechi had money, lots of it, and she too kept her power hidden from all but herself. Nkechi's only family was her daughter Nina, a girl as charming as she was intelligent. Now, Nkechi had her own secret to keep. She was a powerful witch, skilled in her craft, just like Chief Anya. And just like Anya, she hid her secret from her daughter. Ada and Nina, oblivious to the hidden rivalry between their parents, were the best of friends. They laughed together, shared secrets, and had no idea that they were in the middle of a silent competition. A competition to win the heart of the kingdom's most eligible bachelor, Prince Obi, son of King Aka. Can you imagine having a best friend and not knowing that her mother is secretly trying to win over your future husband? Have you ever felt like someone close to you was competing without you knowing? Let me know in the comments. Now here's where the story gets interesting. Prince Obi was not just the kingdom's most desirable bachelor. He was also a man with his own desires. The prince had already shown interest in Nina, Lady Nkechi's daughter. As for Ada, she couldn't care less about the prince. Her heart belonged to Chike, a local blacksmith who worked in Lady Nkechi's household. Chike was strong, charming, and the kind of man who made Ada's heart race. But her father, Chief Anya, was disgusted at the thought of his daughter settling for a mere blacksmith. One evening, as Ada was helping her father in the compound, Chief Anya called her over. "Ada," he began, his tone calm yet commanding. "You know the prince favors your friend Nina, yes?" Ada nodded, her face showing no hint of jealousy, only indifference. She knew what her father was getting at. "Father, I don't care about the prince," she replied, looking him directly in the eyes. "I love Chike." Chief Anya's face twisted with disgust. "A blacksmith? You want to disgrace our family by marrying a mere blacksmith?" He spat the word out as if it was something rotten. Ada, however, stood her ground. "Father, Chike is a good man and he loves me. Isn't that enough?" Chief Anya was silent for a moment, his mind spinning with thoughts. If his daughter refused the prince, he would lose the power and prestige of having his bloodline tied to the royal family. He couldn't allow this. That night, he made up his mind to take drastic action. He would make Chike disappear. If you were Ada, would you stand up to your father like this? Let me know below if you've ever defied your parents for love. Late that night, Chief Anya crept into the forest, gathering a handful of rare poisonous herbs known only to those skilled in dark arts. He brewed a potion so potent that even a single drop would stop a man's heart in an instant. The next day, under the guise of sending Chike a token of respect, Chief Anya delivered the poisoned potion to him. Chike, unsuspecting, drank it and fell to the ground, lifeless. When word of Chike's sudden death reached Ada, she was shattered, the love of her life gone in the blink of an eye. She knew something was wrong, but when she confronted her father, he played innocent, shrugging off any suspicion. Perhaps it was Lady Nkechi, he suggested slyly. Chike was a poor man, and he'd been complaining about her unfair wages. Perhaps she wanted to silence him. Ada was furious. She believed her father's words, and a dark resolve filled her heart. If Lady Nkechi had taken Chike from her, then Ada would take something precious from Lady Nkechi, her daughter's happiness. Ada vowed that Nina would never marry Prince Obi. If you were Ada, would you believe your father or look deeper into it? Tell me in the comments if you've ever been betrayed by someone close to you. Ada's resolve turned into action. She began to try to capture the prince's attention, showing up wherever he was, smiling sweetly, dressing in her finest clothes. But every time she tried to get close, Prince Obi's eyes would drift back to Nina, and he would leave Ada standing there, feeling like she was invisible. Frustrated, she went back to her father to complain, pouring out her anger. Chief Anya, determined not to lose this battle, decided to use his craft to tip the scales. That night, he gathered special herbs and prepared a charm that would make Prince Obi fall madly in love with Ada. He crafted the charm carefully, pouring all his power into it, then hid it under his cloak and set off toward the palace. But getting into the palace was no easy feat. When he arrived, the guards blocked his path. "State your business," one demanded. Chief Anya waved his hand, muttering a quick incantation under his breath. The guards' eyes glazed over, and suddenly, where two guards once stood, there were now two fat green frogs, croaking in confusion. With the guards taken care of, Chief Anya slipped into the prince's chamber and approached the bed. He lifted the mattress to place his charm under it, a smug smile spreading across his face. But as he peeked under the bed, his heart skipped a beat. There was already a charm there, hidden in the same spot he intended to place his own. Chief Anya's eyes widened as realization dawned. Lady Nkechi had beaten him to it. She had already cast her spell, binding Prince Obi to her daughter, Nina. Chief Anya couldn't believe the lengths she had gone to secure her daughter's happiness, just as he had done for Ada. But he was not one to back down. If Nkechi wanted to play this game, then so be it. Without hesitation, Chief Anya removed her charm, slipping it into his pocket and placed his own charm beneath the bed. Two could play this game, and he would stop at nothing to see his daughter win. Do you think Chief Anya will succeed, or is Lady Nkechi a step ahead of him? If you're as hooked as I am, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and let me know. Who do you think will win this battle of wits? Comment your predictions below. The next morning, as the roosters crowed and the early sun painted the village of Owerri in warm gold, a shift had taken place in Prince Obi's heart. He woke up with one clear thought: Ada. Her name echoed in his mind like a sweet melody, filling him with a longing that burned hotter than the mid-morning sun. Without a second thought, he ordered his servants to gather gifts, rich fabrics, glistening jewelry, and even musicians to accompany him on a visit to Ada's home. The prince's plan was simple but grand. He would shower her with treasures and gifts, making his intentions unmistakable. Can you imagine the thrill in the palace as the servants rushed to prepare? Leave a comment if you think Ada has luck on her side or if you feel Nina deserves more. Meanwhile, across the village, Lady Nkechi's daughter, Nina, sat by the window, looking out toward the palace with a growing worry in her heart. She had noticed recently that the prince seemed distant, his eyes not lighting up for her as they once did. Her laughter, her dances, her beauty, none of it seemed to hold his attention. After a while, unable to contain her distress, she went to her mother, Lady Nkechi, and confided her worries. "Mother," Nina said, voice quivering, "Prince Obi, I think he no longer cares for me. He hardly looks at me anymore." Lady Nkechi's eyes narrowed. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. She had secured his love with her powerful charm. What had gone wrong? If you were Nkechi, would you believe the charm had somehow weakened, or would you start suspecting something else? Comment below with your thoughts. Determined to uncover the problem, Lady Nkechi called upon Uzo, a trusted palace maid. She instructed Uzo to slip into the prince's room and bring back the charm from under his bed. "Bring it to me as quickly as possible," she said sternly. "It needs strengthening." Uzo, loyal and silent as ever, slipped into the prince's chambers that night. She carefully lifted the mattress, her fingers brushing over a small charm that she believed was Lady Nkechi's own. Not suspecting a thing, she brought it back to Lady Nkechi. With the charm in her hand, Nkechi quickly began a series of rituals, whispering ancient words and waving her hands over the charm to increase its power. The room filled with an energy so strong that even Uzo felt it, standing silently by the doorway. Unknowingly, Lady Nkechi was feeding her strength into Chief Anya's charm, making it more potent than ever. If you've ever boosted something thinking it would help, only for it to backfire, tell me your story in the comments. The next morning, Nina was awoken by the distant sound of drums and singing voices. She peeked out the window and her heart soared. There, down the path leading to her house, was Prince Obi himself, walking with a procession of servants carrying gifts and treasures, musicians playing joyous rhythms, and singers chanting songs of love. Nina couldn't contain her joy. She ran out of the house, singing and dancing along, tears of happiness streaming down her face. At last, her prince was coming to declare his love. When she reached Prince Obi, she was nearly bursting with joy. She was certain this was the moment, the proposal she had dreamed of, the promise of a royal life. The prince, with a kind but distant smile, looked down at her. "Nina," he began, his voice gentle, "could you tell me where Ada lives?" Nina's heart stopped. Her smile faltered as she tried to process what he had just said. For a moment, she stood there, stunned, as if in a dream. Slowly, she pointed in the direction of Ada's house. Prince Obi nodded, thanked her, and turned toward Ada's home, the entire procession following behind him, leaving Nina standing there, alone, her heart shattered. If you were Nina, how would you feel seeing the man you thought was yours go after your best friend? Have you ever had a moment like that? Let me know how you'd react in the comments below. When the prince and his entourage arrived at Ada's home, Ada was speechless. Prince Obi, smiling with an intensity that seemed almost feverish, presented her with the treasures, the silk, the jewelry, all laid at her feet as he declared his admiration for her. Chief Anya, watching nearby, couldn't suppress his grin. His plan had worked perfectly, and his heart swelled with pride as he watched the prince shower his daughter with affection. He silently thanked his own cunning for the victory. Meanwhile, back at her home, Lady Nkechi's mind was racing. As Nina recounted the humiliating encounter, Nkechi began to suspect that something wasn't right. How could her charm, one she had personally enchanted, lead Prince Obi to another woman? Could it have been switched? With a glint of suspicion, she realized she had to act quickly before her carefully laid plans were completely unraveled. That night, Nkechi called for Uzo again. "Remove the charm from under the prince's bed," she ordered, "and place it under Ara's bed, the village madman." Ara was well known for his unpredictable behavior, wandering around the village muttering nonsense and causing confusion. Nkechi figured that if anything strange happened, it would go unnoticed amid Ara's usual antics. Early the next morning, the village awoke to chaos. Prince Obi, seemingly out of his senses, marched straight to Ada's house. He had a peculiar, almost blank look on his face, and he demanded some of the gifts he'd given her the day before. I think I meant to give you only one necklace," he said, scratching his head, "but I accidentally gave you all the treasures. I'll be taking some of them back now." Ada and Chief Anya stood there, utterly baffled. The prince had seemed so certain the day before, so passionately in love, yet now he appeared distracted, as if his mind were clouded. But before they could question him further, there was a loud, off-key singing voice in the distance. It was Ara, the village madman. He barged into Ada's house, grinning and singing loudly, "My darling, my sweetest Ada, my heart burns for you like the sun itself." He threw his arms wide open, attempting to embrace her, his voice loud and completely out of tune. Lady Nkechi, watching from a safe distance, bit back laughter. Her suspicion had been confirmed. Chief Anya had switched her charm with his own, but now it was under Ara's bed, causing chaos. Poor Ada looked horrified, backing away from the madman while her father tried to shoo him away. Prince Obi was shocked beyond measure. Did he publicly declare love for a woman that was being chased by a madman? Yes, he did. Then what does that say about his taste in women? He decided to leave before the madman would go after him. Ara stared at Prince Obi, challenging him to a fight over Ada's love. "Don't worry, Ara," the prince said. "I give up." Just then, Chief Anya said a spell, making the madman imagine a lion in front of him. Ara looked forward and suddenly ran away, just then, leaving everyone at the scene confused. Lady Nkechi's plan was unfolding beautifully, with everyone in the village bewildered by the strange scene before them. Have you ever seen a plan backfire so spectacularly? Comment below if you're as entertained as I am by the twists and turns of this tale. The next day, Chief Anya and Lady Nkechi crossed paths at the bustling village market. Each one glared at the other, their eyes locking in a silent, bitter understanding. Each knew the other's secret, and each knew that the other wouldn't rest until their daughter had Prince Obi's heart. In low, simmering voices, they spoke through gritted teeth. "Your daughter won't be the one marrying Prince Obi," Anya hissed, eyes flashing with anger. Lady Nkechi raised her chin defiantly. "We'll see who wins, Chief Anya. My daughter was born to be queen, and I won't let anyone take that from her." And so, the two powerful witches left the market that day, both silently vowing to do whatever it took to make their daughters the next princess. What do you think? Who will win this battle of wits and magic? Comment your predictions. And if you're hooked, make sure to like and subscribe for the next chapter of this story. The morning began quietly in the palace, but there was a new tension in the air as Chief Anya's plan was already underway. He had slipped a handful of coins to a young maid named Anya, a kitchen helper known for her skill in blending spices into the royal meals. But this time, her task was different. Chief Anya handed her a small pouch with a rare, powerful herb inside. "Nwanyi," he said, leaning in close, his voice barely above a whisper. "Take this spice and sprinkle it carefully into Prince Obi's food before anyone notices. This will make him feel a deep affection for my daughter, Ada." Nwanyi nodded obediently, hiding the pouch in her apron as she hurried back to the palace kitchen. She carefully ground the spice, blending it smoothly into the prince's meal. As the aroma filled the air, she glanced around to ensure no one was watching. But little did she know, Uzo, Lady Nkechi's ever-watchful maid, was quietly observing everything from the shadows. How would you feel if you were Uzo, watching this plan unfold? Would you stay silent or would you run to report it? Comment below if you'd be as quick-thinking as Uzo. Without hesitation, Uzo rushed back to Lady Nkechi's home. Bursting through the door, she breathlessly told Nkechi what she had seen. "Lady Nkechi, they've put something in the prince's food. Chief Anya ordered it, and it's meant to make the prince fall for Ada." Lady Nkechi's eyes narrowed, her mind already spinning with ideas. She knew she had to act fast. A sly smile spread across her face as she reached for her collection of counteracting herbs, selecting one with care. Handing the herb to Uzo, she said, "Take this back to the kitchen and mix it in with the prince's food. It will cancel out whatever spell Anya is trying to put on him. But remember, be quick and subtle. No one must see you." Uzo, with nerves of steel, returned to the palace kitchen, slipping past the busy cooks and dropping the herb into the prince's food, stirring it in quickly to hide any trace. Her heart raced as she left the kitchen, knowing she'd done her part to protect Lady Nkechi's plans. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to like and comment. Would you be as brave as Uzo? When Prince Obi sat down to his meal, he noticed nothing unusual. He ate slowly, savoring each bite. But over the next few days, he began to feel weaker, his face pale and his movements slow. Little did anyone know, the counteracting herb carried a nasty side effect. It caused weakness and fever. Soon, Prince Obi's illness grew worse, confining him to his bed. Lady Nkechi, who had anticipated this side effect, saw it as a perfect opportunity to gain Prince Obi's affection for her daughter, Nina. With Prince Obi bedridden, Lady Nkechi gathered her closest allies, the powerful witches of her council. Together they met under the moonlit sky in a secret grove, surrounded by ancient trees and the warm glow of a fire crackling in the middle of their circle. In the solemn light, Lady Nkechi spoke with fierce determination. "Sisters," she began, her voice echoing through the trees, "our prince is unwell, and in his sickness, we have a chance to influence his heart. I ask for your help to place a spell upon him, one that will fill his dreams every night with the vision of marrying my daughter, Nina." The witches nodded, their faces shadowed but eyes glinting with dark purpose. They agreed that each night they would gather in the shrine and chant "Marry Nina" into the fire, sending their voices and energy toward the prince's bed. As the witches chanted, their voices grew louder, carrying their spell across the land and into the prince's feverish sleep. That very night, Prince Obi lay on his bed, his brow covered in sweat, tossing and turning as the spell took hold. In his dreams, he saw himself at the altar, adorned in royal robes, standing beside Nina. Her smile was bright, her hand warm in his, and he felt a powerful urge to make her his queen. Every detail was vivid, as though he were living it. Each night, the dreams repeated, until Nina was all he could see, all he could think about. In his waking hours, he demanded her presence, refusing food unless Nina brought it herself. The more he saw her, the more his heart softened toward her. Lady Nkechi's plan was working perfectly. How many of you think Lady Nkechi will win this time? But Chief Anya, no fool to be outsmarted, noticed the prince's strange new attachment to Nina. He quietly spoke to the palace nurses, asking them if the prince had mentioned anything unusual. They told him that Prince Obi spoke often of dreams in which he was marrying Nina. Instantly, Anya knew what Lady Nkechi had done. She had bewitched the prince through his dreams. Chief Anya's eyes narrowed, and he vowed that he would break this spell and return the prince's heart to Ada. That evening, he prepared a herbal drink that he knew would cure the prince's illness. More than that, he hoped it would turn Obi's gratitude toward Ada, the one who had saved him. Anya handed the drink to his daughter, Ada, instructing her to give it to the prince herself. "Ada," he said, his voice firm, "this will heal Prince Obi. Remember, show him kindness, and let him know you are there to care for him. This is your moment." Ada took the herbal drink, her heart pounding as she approached the palace. But when she reached the prince's chamber, the guards stopped her, standing like tall walls between her and the door. "Sorry, miss," one guard said, glancing at her apologetically. "The prince doesn't allow anyone to feed him except Nina. He's resting now." Ada's face fell, and as she stood helplessly, Chief Anya, hiding just out of sight, heard every word. Seeing his plan crumble, he knew he had to take drastic action to disrupt the prince's dreams. Muttering an ancient spell, he made himself invisible and slipped into the night, heading straight to the witch's shrine. When he arrived, the witches were already deep in their ritual, chanting "Marry Nina" in unison as they encircled a bonfire. Without hesitation, Anya took a charm from his robes and threw it into the fire. In an instant, the flames sparked and crackled wildly, and the witches began to shrink, their forms twisting and turning until each one transformed into a small, croaking frog. The chanting stopped, replaced by the sound of frogs hopping and croaking around the fire. Anya then began to chant his own words into the fire. "Accept Ada's drink," he murmured again and again, letting the fire carry his words to Prince Obi's dreams. That night, in Prince Obi's dream, he was once again standing beside Nina, the wedding ceremony nearing its end. But just as he leaned in to kiss her, she suddenly transformed into a frog. He stumbled back in horror, and to his shock, everyone else in the room began turning into frogs, hopping about and croaking. The dream became a nightmare, a blur of leaping, croaking frogs surrounding him. Through the chaos, a calm, distant voice echoed in his mind. "Accept Ada's drink." The next morning, Prince Obi woke up drenched in sweat, his head throbbing. He glanced around, feeling uneasy, and found Nina sitting nearby with a calabash of food, smiling at him. But his heart felt unsettled, haunted by the strange voice from his dreams. "Nina," he said slowly, "bring Ada here. I want her to give me the drink she's prepared." Nina's face fell, and she reluctantly went to fetch Ada. The guards opened the door, allowing Ada to enter with the herbal drink her father had given her. She held it out to Prince Obi, who looked at her gratefully before taking a sip. Instantly, he felt strength returning to his body, the fever fading as the warmth of the herbal drink soothed him. He smiled at Ada, thanking her, and then asked Nina to bring the food. When Nina returned with the food, Prince Obi shared the meal with Ada, the two of them laughing and enjoying each other's company. Nina sat nearby, her heart sinking, watching as the prince and Ada bonded over the meal that was supposed to have been hers to share. She felt betrayed, humiliated, and when she finally returned home, her sadness spilled into bitter words. "Mother, something has gone terribly wrong," she cried, tears of frustration streaming down her face. "The prince barely even looks at me anymore. He only has eyes for Ada." Lady Nkechi listened, her eyes darkening with anger as the truth became clear. Chief Anya had found a way to counter her spell. She clenched her fists, vowing that this was far from over. If you're still with us, leave a comment on who you think will finally win this battle of wits and magic. Lady Nkechi is about to step up her game, and the stakes have never been higher. Stay tuned for the next part.